Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Thank you for coming back to watch another video. This is a bit different, but I think it's something that people need to talk about, and I'm going to be talking about my contraceptions today. I am talking solely about one type of contraception, so if you're looking at finding more information about other types, maybe go watch some other videos. I have been on other contraceptions before, but the injection has been my main contraception for a long time. So today I'm going to go through what it is, the different types. I'm going to go through my experience with the different types, because I've been on 2 different types of the injection, and then I'm going to go through some questions that I've had from people in the past, and also I put a thing on my Instagram, so I'm going to go through some questions that people have put on there. Then at the end I'm going to do my injection. I have my injection ready to go, and then I'm going to do that. If you're not okay with needles and stuff, you don't have to watch that bit. I'm going to leave it at the very end so that if you're not okay with needles, you don't have to watch that to get to the rest of it. That's going to be at the very end, and it's just to show you how it works. So first up, with the contraception injection, the way that it works is that it's a hormonal injection, so it's not like condoms or dental dams or anything like that. It's hormonal. Obviously you're injecting a hormone into you. The hormone that works with the injection is progesterone. So what happens with that is that it doesn't release an egg. That means you probably are going to lose your periods with it, because there isn't an egg being released for the sperm to fertilize. That's how it stops you getting pregnant. It also thickens the lining of your womb to stop sperm being able to move, but the main thing is that it stops an egg being released, and that's how you stop being pregnant, because there's no egg to fertilize. So that's kind of the main way how it works. It's a very, very effective contraceptive. If it's used correctly, it's 99% effective, so it's one of the top ones. Things like condoms, if with effective usage, they are very effective, like 97%, but it's harder to use them correctly. Condoms split, they go out of date, things like that, whereas I find the injection, it's harder not to do it properly, because if you get the depot, a nurse is doing it, you just have to make sure you're doing it at the correct timing. I don't know what happened to my voice there. At the correct timing. So it is a very effective contraception. I think it's up there with the implant, the coil, things like that. The coil's a bit more effective, but it is a very effective contraception. The injection lasts about 8 to 13 weeks, depending on which one you're using. The Depo, which is the main type of injection that I think everybody knows about, that everybody just assumes is the only contraceptive injection, the Depo is 13 weeks. It's about 13 weeks. You can go a little bit earlier or a little bit like dead on the 13 weeks, but it's a bit more of a range compared to the Sayana press, which is 13 weeks. You have to do it on 13 weeks. And there is another one that lasts 8 weeks, but that's a bit more rare. So the main kind of types of the contraceptive injection is about 13 weeks. If you go past the 13-week mark, you'll need to use another type of contraception to make it as effective, because like I say, it's not effective. And like I say, if you're on the Depo, you can go a little bit earlier so that you don't have to be bang on the 13 weeks mark. Just to explain a little bit more about the different types, the Depo-Provera, which is the kind of the typical one that everyone knows. How that happens is you go to a clinic, you obviously sign all the forms, do all your bits and bobs, and then you get an injection by a nurse in a sexual health clinic. This is in England, by the way. I don't know if it works everywhere the same. Obviously in the US it'll be different and things like that, but this is in England. You get the injection in your bum, which I'm just going to clarify now is not your bum hole. I thought that before I got it, and I think a few people think that. You don't get it in your bum hole, you get it at the top of your bum. I don't even think that it counts as your bum. It's very, very top. You literally, when you go in, the nurse literally pulls down your pants a slight bit. Like, you don't even have to pull your pants down, it just pulls it down a little bit, and then the injection goes in. The injection itself isn't very big. If you're worried about injections, like if you want to use the contraceptive injection because it's reliable and it works for you, but you're scared of injections, you don't even have to see it. I've had nurses ask me if like I want to turn before they get it out, that kind of thing, and I'd be pretty confident that you can ask that. You don't have to see it. Like I say, it goes in your bum, so you can literally turn and then have it done without you even seeing the injection. that's kind of the main things for the Depo. The other type is the Sayana press, which is the one that I have here. Sayana press is exactly the same. It's progesterone, it's exactly the same, but you administer it yourself. It's way newer than the Depo. When I say I'm on the Sayana press, a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. It's a lot newer, but it's exactly the same. It's just you administer it yourself. Obviously, that comes with things that if you're not comfortable with injections, you're probably not going to want to administer yourself, but it fits people better, and that including me. I'll explain all that when I come to my experience with it, but there is that option of you can get a what's the word I'm looking for? A dosage to take home and do it yourself. With the Sayana press, I'll go into this a little bit more. So I'm on the Sayana press now, so I've gone through all this myself. When I did it, it might change a little bit because, like I say, it is very new, so they might be changing their system a bit. Also, because it's new, some clinics don't have it yet. So if you go to a clinic and ask for it and they don't have it, don't assume that nowhere has it in England. Some clinics do have it, but the way it works when I got it was you go in, they do it for you the first time. So they explain the process, they explain how they're doing it, and they do it for you that first time. Fun fact, when I went in, I was one of the first people the nurse did it on, so she was reading the sheet as she was going, kind of thing. Then the second time you go back 13 weeks later and you do it yourself, but in front of the nurse, so that they are happy that you can do it yourself and it's going to be effective. Then from there you get a year's supply. So what's that? How many injections did I get? 4, 5? I don't know. I got a year's supply, and then after the year is up, you have to go back for another appointment just to just so they can make sure that they are happy with how it's going with you. There's no concerns, there's no issues with it, because obviously it's a hormone contraception. They're going to want to keep track on you. So after a year, you go in, you do it again in front of them, and then you get another year's supply. And that's kind of all it is, really. I have had issues with it the last few months because there was an issue with the manufacturing, so I couldn't get it at one point. And then when COVID started, I was due mine and I had to go and get it. That was when I did the Come Drive With Me video. I had to go get it, and then they were having issues with having enough for the whole of the county because only one place was open. So I only got 2 instead of the year supply. So I only had like a, I don't know, what is it, 26-week supply rather than a full year. So this is my last one, actually. So after I've done this, when I'm due it again in 13 weeks time, I'm gonna have to ring up, make an appointment and go get it again. So then I'll probably get another year's supply, but I mean, fingers crossed, so I don't have to keep going back. But usually it's a year you see them, a year you see them, a year you see them, that kind of thing. And I think I've been on it, I've had mine for, I had a year supply, and when I went back for my other year supply there was issues, so I must be on it for about 1.5 years, nearly 2 years now. Before that I was on the Depo. I went on the Depo when I was 15, 14, a long time ago, nearly 10 years. The main reason that I went on the Depo was because of my periods. So obviously I mentioned before, the Depo stops your periods most of the time. It's not the same for everyone, it doesn't always stop it, but the expectation with the Depo is that it's going to stop your periods. It can take a while for it to get used to, like for your body to get used to it. I'll come on to that in a second, but it can take a while for the periods to completely stop. Sometimes you have like one period throughout your 13 weeks, sometimes you can have it for a bit longer, but eventually it does kind of even out. So yeah, like I said, I went on it because of my periods, because I have atrocious periods. Like, before I went on the Depo, I was actually on medication because I was losing too much blood and the pain was so bad. I used to be on for 2 weeks, off for 2 weeks, on for 2 weeks, off for 2 weeks, and I lost a lot of blood in those 2 weeks and I could barely stand. Like, I remember I was in school and a lot of times I had to leave the classroom because I was in so much pain, because I was literally like keeled over on the desk. So I went on it to try and regulate my periods a little bit more. And then obviously had the added benefit of being a contraceptive as well. So I went on it when I was quite young. I want to say I was 15. I think I was 15. And I had a bit of an issue with it when I first went on it. So I had my first injection, no problems whatsoever. My bum hurt a little bit, not a lot, like there was no issues. Then when I went back for my second one, I was on my period. Just like, it was just, I was on my period and I needed to go. And then when I got my second one, I bled for the full 3 months. And I know that's probably going to scare a lot of people, but I don't want to hide anything with this. I'm going to be completely honest. Like I say, I've been on it for, next year it'll be 10 years, so I don't have issues with it. But the second time that I went, I was on my period for 3 months. And then after that, I went the earliest possible time that I could go because of my period being so bad. And there was a few times that I went at about 12 weeks and I'd started my period, and I just didn't want to risk that again, like being on for the 3 months. So I can't remember what the earliest time you can go is. I think it might be, I think it's either 10, 11 or 12 weeks. I think it was 2 weeks before you were like, you needed to get it. So it must be 11 weeks that I used to go. So I always went the earliest I could so I didn't get a period, because my periods were so bad. After then, the time that I bled for 3 months straight, I went back and got it my normal time, like 11 weeks. And then after that, I was completely fine. Like, I haven't had any problems since. With the Depo, I'll explain a little bit like how I found it after. But I was on the Depo for, well, if I've been on this for about a year and a half, it must be what, like 6, 7 years that I was on it for. And then I wanted to change because I became self-employed, obviously with PT, and the clinic that I used to go to only had certain times for the drop-in, and the certain times that they had clashed with clients all the time. I could barely get, like, I could never get away to get to the clinic. And obviously I did a few times because I had to get my injection, but it was a super pain to try and plan clients around it. So I actually rang up the clinic asking to have an appointment to get the coil fitted, because obviously you don't have to go in regularly for that. And then I was going on holiday, and they told me to ring back after my holiday. And then when I came back, I rang, and the woman was like, why don't you just go on this Sayana press? And I was like, I don't even know what that is. And then she explained what it is, and she was like, look, if you're happy with how the injection works for you and you haven't had any big side effects, don't swap, because obviously different hormonal contraceptives work differently for different people. That's the main thing I'd say for contraceptions. Like, just because something works for me doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. Like, it's crazy how different people's bodies respond. So she was like, if you found one that works for you, stick with it. So the Sayana press, you do it yourself, so you don't have to come into the clinic. And I was like, yes, that is perfect, let's do that. And then I started on the Sayana press, and like I say, I did the whole, went in, watched them do it, then I did it, and I've had no problems with it whatsoever, apart from the clinic that I went to in York didn't have it. They'd never heard of it, whereas the one in Northumberland, like, they were the one who started me on it, but York didn't know what it was. Then when they finally got it through, I got told that they didn't fund it in the York City Centre. And then after that, there was issues with the manufacturing, so I couldn't get it. So I went back on the Depo for one injection. I think it was one injection I only had for the Depo. So I had one Depo injection because I couldn't get the Sayana press. Then I've went back on Sayana press and got my I had like 2 home batches from when Corona started. And then yeah, that's kind of it for how I've gone on them. In terms of how I found them, I have no issues with it. With periods, I completely, like, mine's been a little bit of a rocky road. It depends. Like I say, when I was on the Depo, I always used to try and go the earliest I could. If I didn't go the earliest I could, I'd get a period at around the 11-week mark, which is typical. It doesn't mean it's not working, it's just some people, like, it happens. And then, but probably I want to say around like the year 2 mark, I lost my period, apart from the end ones. I sometimes spot in the middle, so like when I'm in the middle of the 2, between the 13 weeks, sometimes I get a little bit of bleeding, but I don't have like a full-on period like I used to. Like, like it's nowhere near that level. Like what I get now, some people would probably count as a normal period, but to me it is spot on because it's nowhere near what I used to get. So I'm really happy. I can't imagine going back to having periods. When I come off this contraception, I have no idea how I'm going to deal with periods again. I love not having periods. It's brilliant. I hate when I spot because like it's such a pain. I admire women who have periods every month because I can't deal with them at all. I hate having them. So I love the fact that I don't bleed with this. With the Sayana press, I haven't had any periods. Like I say, with this, you have to do it at the 13 week marks. I was a bit worried I was going to start having my periods again at the end. I didn't have that. I don't know why. It's the same kind of injection, so I don't know why it's worked. I think it's probably just time, like my body's gotten used to it. So with periods, I don't get them apart from just slight spotting here and then. This was a question that I got on Instagram actually, and it was, did I get any side effects with it? There are side effects that come with the injection, both of them, because like I say, it's the same thing. The typical ones, these aren't the ones that I'm saying that I've had, but the typical ones tend to be weight gain, migraines, I can't even remember the rest of them. The main two with the injection are weight gain and migraines. I haven't had migraines with them. With weight gain, I wasn't really conscious of my weight when I started the Depo when I was about 15. I wasn't really looking at it. But one thing I have found is that I struggle to lose weight as quick as other people do, I would say. And when I had a coach for a bit, I was talking about this to her, and she thinks it is because of the Depo, because of the way it affects your hormones. So I'm not saying that I put on weight, but I think I struggle to lose it as quickly as other people do, and my weight tends to stick for quite a while when I'm due my injection. And I mean, I've talked about this before with weight loss, your weight, how much it fluctuates with women's cycles, but like it does anyway, but I find mine stays to stick a little bit higher. But I wouldn't say it's huge. Like I still lose weight when I'm trying to lose weight, it's just not as quick. And I wouldn't say that it was a big thing that happened. Like I didn't, like I say, I wasn't noticing my weight, but I don't think it was big enough for me to go, wow, I put on some weight since I went on the injection. So I don't think it happened that like a big of amount. With other side effects, the only other side effects that I'd say I get is that when I'm coming up to being due my injection, I get a bit not hormonal. I don't think I get hormonal. That's another thing actually. I'll talk about this really quickly first. Before I went on my injection, I was a little like huffy brat, like I really was. If anyone knew me back then, they'll have known I was huffy. My hormones were all over the place. My family told me constantly that my hormones were all over the place, that I wasn't a very nice person. But when I went on the injection, I completely leveled out. I don't really get those hormonal spikes. I don't get angry at certain times of the month. I don't get PMS. Like I don't get that anymore, which is brilliant. Like I'm so glad it mellowed me out a little bit more. I just don't have those huge hormonal spikes, and that's kind of something that runs in my family anyway. Like my mom, she has periods. She gets really, really bad migraines with her periods, and my grandma, she's had problems. So I don't have that anymore since I've started the injection, which I'm super, super grateful for. But what was I saying? How did I get onto this? Oh yeah, so when it comes to the end of my like injection cycle, so when I'm coming up to being due it, I don't get hormonal like what I used to, but I don't say I get ill, but I feel, I don't know, down, like not down as in emotionally, but just kind of a bit worn out. I get headaches, I get some tension in my head. Sometimes I get really bad period pain, but I don't actually bleed, it's just the pain. But you know, like it's not horrendous, it really isn't. And I don't know if everybody else gets this or whether it's just me, so maybe watch a few more videos just to make sure that if this is something that worries you, to check if other people get it. But it is a bit of a pain. Sometimes like I'll get feeling like that and I'm like, God, I feel like shit, like why is my body hating me? And then I'm like, oh, your injection's due in a week, that's why. So that's probably the main bad side effect that I do get. But I mean, people get that around the period every month, and I get it once every 3 months. So I don't think it's a hard thing to put up with when poor women have to put up with it normally every month. But I think they're the only side effects that I ever got. I don't really get the migraines thing, but weight gain's the one that I get asked about most when people hear that I'm on the injection, like, did you put on loads of weight? And it didn't happen. So yeah, with the Depo, it was all just kind of positive things, apart from the fact that I had to go into the clinic every 11 weeks for the nurse to do it. But ever since I've went on this, like, it's brilliant. Like, I can't fault it. I love the fact that I can just do it to myself and I don't have to go to the clinic, especially now. Like, I love the fact that I don't have to go out in this pandemic and I can just do it myself. I can't really think of any downsides of it, to be honest. You'll see that when I open it and I do it, that the needle isn't very big at all. You don't really have to do anything, like, you don't have to do anything special. You just got to keep it in a cool, dry place. You have to get a sharps box, which is not hard at all. This is my second one because I left my other one in York. Where's my other one gone, actually? So I'm gonna talk, I think, with what people, in terms of past questions that people have already asked me, I have already covered it, but I know there was one question that I haven't actually covered, so let me get it up. One question I had is what's the benefit of being on the injection compared to the other ones? And I'd say the main benefit is that you don't have to take something every day like you do with the pill. You just have to do it every like 3 months. It's not every day. You don't have to remember to do anything. And in terms of like the benefit compared to like non-hormonal ones, obviously you don't have to faff about with a condom. It's more effective. You just don't have to worry about it really until when you do. You need to do it on the day that you are due. You can't let it go over, otherwise you're gonna get pregnant if you're having sex, or if you're not bothered about having sex, you're gonna probably get a period. The only thing that you need to be conscious of in terms of drawbacks compared to other ones with the injection is that it doesn't account for STIs. It's not a barrier form of contraception, so if you're having sex with someone and you don't want to get an STI, you need to still be wearing a condom or using a dental dam. It doesn't help with stuff like that. All this does is help with not getting pregnant and your periods. If you don't want an STI, you need to be wearing something on whatever you've got down there, or the person that you're with needs to be wearing something. In terms of other benefits, I don't want to say that this one's the best one, because like I said, it's different for everyone. Like, you could go on this and hate it, or you could go on the pill and love it, which I don't particularly like. I don't think it works well for me. I get a little bit hormonal, but it's completely different for everyone. So I'm not going to say there's loads of benefits compared to other ones. There's not. It's just a different type of contraception. There's different progesterone ones, there's more estrogen ones if you prefer estrogen, there's non-hormonal ones, there's loads of the ones you can do. But the main benefit, I think, is that you don't have to worry about doing anything to be protected, and it worked well for me and it might work well for you. Right, so that was I think I've covered all the questions that I had. I'm going to now show you how you do the Sayana press, and like, just to show you that it's not scary at all. If you really don't want to watch, turn off now. Thank you for watching, by the way. It was lovely to have you here. But I do think that it's not as scary as what people think. It comes in, do I have any of my deals on here? I'm gonna hide it just in case. It comes in just like a little normal pharmacy box, and then inside you have all the leaflet thing, which also includes the instructions in case you ever forget, and then it's just in that little thing. So you can see there, I mean, if you can see how big it is compared to my hand. The injection's in there, so it's not big whatsoever. You need to do it in your thigh or your tummy. It's basically anywhere that has a lot of fat. So not a lot, but it has some fat. I prefer doing it in my thigh just because I can see it, but I think every nurse I've went to, they've told me that they prefer doing it, like seeing it in the tummy, but I prefer doing it in my thigh. I can do it in my tummy, but I don't like to. So I'm going to show you it in my thigh. I swap thighs. That's just the thing that I picked up from the Depo. In the Depo, you swap bum cheeks each time, and I swap thighs each time. I'm going to do it in my left thigh today though, because I've got a bruise on my right thigh. If you guys watched the anniversary vlog, it's because I walked into the table, but I'm not going to do it there because it hurts. You need to clean the surface area first. So I'm going to put you down a little bit more so you can see my thigh. I'm literally just cleaning it with some micellar water and a pad. So let me put you down. You also need to make sure that you've washed your hands. I've just washed my hands, so my hands are clean, but make sure you wash your hands. First, you clean the area. So it's literally just the top of your thigh. Then make sure everything's okay. The expiry date is 2022, so I'm fine. And then just open it. You don't have to worry too much about ripping it because it is a hard package. So first I will show you it. This is the injection. You can see it's not that big. The injection needle, the actual needle, hang on, I'll come here, is in there. So you can see like that big brown, like that big grey thing in the middle. That is how big it is. It's not very big at all. And then that is the hormonal stuff. So you just need to make sure that everything is in the in correct order before you do it. Oh, super important, there is a gap here. Oh, hang on, let me come closer again. Here, you need to make sure that gap is still there because you're going to push it in. So make sure that gap is still there. Then you need to mix it. Doing this isn't enough, and I got told by that it's very, very important. You mix it like this, and you need to do this for 30 seconds. Okay, that should be mixed. Once you've finished mixing it, just make sure that the liquid is all white and it's all the same. It doesn't have any like bubbles of different colours in. Mine looks fine. So what you do next is you need to push that little gap in again. So literally pushing it down. I always worry that I'm going to squeeze this too much, but push it in. And that's it. Do you see how that gap's now gone? That is what it needs to be like. Then you're going to pull it off. And then get rid of this bit. And that is the needle. Can you see how little it is? It's tiny. It's really small. You don't have to be scared of it. Like, it's really small. So next, this is where I'm gonna look like a pussy because I've done this so many times, but it hurts every single time. It's not a big hurt. It's a bit of a, I don't mind putting it in. It's when I squeeze it. So what you wanna do is you wanna pick where you're gonna do it. Can you see that? Then you're gonna pinch the skin up like that. Pop it in. I'll bring you a little bit closer. So pinch the skin, and then I'm gonna pop it in. Then you want to squeeze the reservoir, which is the white bit, in for 5 seconds until all of it's gone. Then pull it out, wipe it down. You can see there's a little bit of blood, but not a lot. Pop that on there. Then make sure that you've got most of it out. There is going to be a little bit left, as you can see in there. Hang on. You can see there's like a little bit left in, but that's fine. You don't put that back on. You then get your little sharps box, pop it in, and then that's it. You want to hold that for a little bit longer. And then all it's left to do is figure out when you're next due. So it's 13 weeks from today. And then I'll put it in my calendar so I don't forget. And that is it done. All gone. There's 2 in there now. And I'm covered for the next 13 weeks. So hopefully that didn't freak you out because it's like not hard. I always get this out in case, just in case I forget a step. I mean, I've done it loads now, but just in case. And like, this looks huge, but you know what medicine things are like. It's huge, but all of the instructions are like on there, and you get that in the box, and that is it. Done. Am I still bleeding? I'm still bleeding. I hope you guys found this useful. I hope you found it insightful. I hope that if you watched the little needle thing, that it didn't freak you out and you realized that it's just small and it's not as bad as what you think it is. If you did find it useful, please let me know. I'd love to know. Leave a comment. If you're on the Sayana press and you find it completely fine, maybe leave a comment and it'll help other people knowing that it's all right. And yeah, please subscribe if you're new. If you want to see any more videos like this, contraception wise, sex wise, anything like that, I am an open book and love talking about sex, so I'm happy to do any videos that you want to do. But yeah, thank you for watching. Best of luck if you're going to start on the injection or any other form of contraception, and hopefully I will see you in the next one, chickpeas. Bye. Bye.